Hey, I'm going to agree with you guys when you say we'll take anything we can get. Tonight's headliners, the Zach Brown Band, is playing inside TD Ameritrade right now, and it is significantly cooler feeling outside than it has been the last few nights. But Cole was never supposed to live in this property. In fact, in June of last year, the city found 6 violations, deeming it unsafe or unfit for human occupancy, and the city never gave the all clear. Last Saturday, Emily and Chris McGrin got married in Michigan. On their way back this week to their home in Colorado, they stopped in Council Bluffs. That was last night around 12:30. They grabbed some of their clothes, some of their electronics, but left their gifts in the back seat of a tinted car. At it, would you rather be complaining about the cold temps or the hot temps? In this case, we're outside, and of course, the sign may not show you now that we're on live TV, but it says that it's 91 degrees outside right now. And while more people are crashing these waves, more lifeguards are watching for things in the water, and they say they don't expect any of this to slow down anytime soon. Pretty inspiring story. The Eskies want everyone to know. You heard them say you don't have to be perfect to be foster parents. And so when the sun goes down, power substations like this one here often cool down, but with these hot, humid temperatures, well, they don't get a break. That's right, Mallory. We haven't been able to talk to any officials because it happened moments ago, but what we do know is that officer was not injured according to witnesses. It collects sweat and doesn't leave room to breathe, so I'm going to try one of these recommended shirts. We'll see how it works. So here you have it. It's a long sleeve shirt, but it actually protects you from the sun. The northeast and the northwest precincts cross right here at 43rd Street. That's right where his house is.
It's jumped on top of the table and it's up this high on the wall and it's just black.
All Diana Cole has left of a house she once hoped to own.
He was just so quick to try to put someone in there, and now I know why.
Is cell phone video shot days before she moved out. Last October, she moved her family into this 5-bedroom home at 5801 Spring Street.
It's kind of very hard to know or expect to know what you're going to get into.
A few months later and a few rainy days, Cole found a new problem.
Look at that. That's that pipe.
Mold all over the home, in the bathroom, basement, and kitchen. And on May 16th, Cole received a notice from the city to vacate the property because of mold and more than 30 violations.
And me and my kids have nowhere to go. I have half of my things in my truck right now because I have nowhere to put them.
But Cole was never supposed to live in this property. In fact, in June of last year, the city found 6 violations, deeming it unsafe or unfit for human occupancy, and the city never gave the all clear.
I wish they would either sell it so that somebody stable lived there, or whoever owns it and rents it would take better care of it.
For more than 30 years, Barbara Ford lived across the street from this house.
It's just a mess in general.
According to city inspection records, this property is owned by Legacy Ventures, LLC. The 6 violations from last June include broken windows, missing storm windows, screens, and siding. A year later, an inspector went inside, citing 39 violations deemed unsafe.
No one's supposed to live in, no one's supposed to be there, it is uninhabitable.
Now Cole is left homeless, hoping to find somewhere for her family to call home. So how is it possible that Diana Cole was able to move into this house and sign a contract to lease it? Well, we called the city inspector's office. They say they have 9 inspectors, each with more than 400 open cases. So this could be a case that may have fallen through the cracks. So how can you prevent it from happening to you? Well, turns out these records are public records. All you have to do is go down to the inspector's office at City Hall, ask for the specific address you're looking for, and take a look at the inspection records. John and Mallory?
Well, Lauren, we've certainly heard the tenant side of the story. What does the owner have to say about all of this?
Well, we tried to contact Legacy Ventures, LLC. They did not return our calls. We did, however, find out that they own 45 other properties, and this property has been cleaned up a bit since we first came and shot this story just a week ago. As for Cole, well, she's staying with friends and family. For the 4th time.
They took everything with them.
In 6 months.
The chances of getting property back is next to nothing.
Donald Meyer had one of his cars broken into.
It seems like a very nice area, good people all around, just that we've been having this little issue with sporadic crime.
Last September, it was his garage.
Gotten into my son's car, ripped out the stereo.
Several months later, parked out front, thieves hit his wife's car. This May, his car was the victim.
But we did notice that somebody actually had come up here and dusted off the window and kind of leaned in.
Sunday night, it was his son's brand new SUV, but when Meyer called police Monday morning, he was referred to a crime reporting hotline that said an officer would respond within 36 hours.
In 36 hours, any evidence that may have been available is probably going to be gone. That gives, the thieves quite a bit of time to dispose of whatever they've stolen.
While we were interviewing him, police arrived less than 12 hours after he called.
With our staffing levels, we have to prioritize which calls we need to send officers out on.
Omaha police say break-ins, while important, often fall down on the list of priorities.
A call, for instance, where there's no suspect that happened several hours ago, that's a lower crime, like a misdemeanor type crime, and that gets bumped down on the priority level, and officers don't respond to it. And sometimes it's actually quicker to take that call over the phone.
And in this case, officers responded and say they'll pay close attention to the area. Myers hopes others start to take notice.
If this can just help to bring an awareness to our neighborhood and to the town to come forward, be more active and vigilant in watching, out for your neighbor.
Now, according to the police precinct map, the northeast and the northwest precincts cross right here at 43rd Street. That's right where his house is. Now, he says police tell him that is often why sometimes there's not so many people patrolling the area, though they say they will be here over the next 30 days watching closely with reports like his. Now, there are ways for you to avoid becoming a victim. If you've got electronics like these, an iPad, an iPhone in your car, well, bring them in overnight. Don't just put them under your seat. Police call this a crime of opportunity, and if someone sees this inside your car...
It's just nice not to have to worry about going out on the road and worrying about it blowing up.
1 week ago,
huge weights lifted off your chest.
Sergeant Eric Wendt returned from a year deployment in Afghanistan.
Now you can worry about family life and your young ones.
He spent 12 months driving more than 800 miles.
Yes.
Hauling supplies back and forth to troops.
No, it was scary because I don't know, I had a bad feeling about it this time.
His mom, Beverly Wendt, didn't like the danger of the job.
It's kind of like car accidents, most of the accidents we had over there. I mean, I wouldn't say they were few and far between.
And that's an analogy that helped ease everyone's mind until 4 days before Eric arrived back to Iowa.
It's probably the worst case scenario for everybody.
Beverly, her husband Ed, and 2 other relatives were hit head-on by a car near Council Bluffs.
Well, I was so excited. We were on a cruise, coming home from a cruise, and we wanted to make sure that we were home before.
Beverly escaped with a broken leg.
Well, things like that happen so fast.
Doctors said she'd be unable to walk for several months, and that meant she'd miss Eric's homecoming.
And I really want to go to the homecoming because they're a lot more fun than the deployments. And they said, well, we'll see what we can do.
Last Wednesday, she sat in this chair as hundreds of troops arrived in Red Oak.
And when I came out with all this on, it's like... well, kind of shoots that idea.
Thursday, the 2 finally reunited, facing a new challenge.
Trying to come off of a deployment and go home to see my parents because they took care of everything of mine for a year, and now I get to turn around and help take care of her.
A job that seems a lot easier and worth returning the favor now that Eric is back on U.S. soil.
As bad as it is, it could have been a lot worse.
Story with a happy ending. Ed and Beverly aren't the only ones, though, that are happy Eric's back on U.S. soil. He has a family of his own, and his 2 sons are happy to be sharing everyday moments with Dad. Also injured in that crash, Eric's grandmother and aunt. They had a private welcome home ceremony at the Wentz home last week. And though they have a long road to recovery, their hearts go out to the family of the 2 teenagers killed in last week's crash, certainly putting a lot of life in perspective. 2 weeks ago, Joyce Lang got a phone call.
Really? $160,000 for me?
From a number she didn't recognize.
I'm always leery of answering a number that I don't recognize, so a lot of times if I don't recognize the number, I'll let them leave me a message and then I'll call them back.
And that's what happened. A man with a foreign accent left a message on her voicemail.
They just wanted to tell me that I needed to call them. It was very important. That they had a check for me, that they needed to get my address so that they could get the check to me.
He said he was with the International Gaming Board, and he told Lang she had won money through a Bank of America sweepstakes. He was asking for her personal information. And it turns out she shouldn't have ever been called in the first place because her number is registered on the do not call list. So we called the number ourselves, starting with the area code 269 registered to Michigan.
Hi, thanks for calling the office of David Mullet.
We left a message with the man, and he called back a few minutes later.
And I was calling from the Winner International Gaming Board.
He told us we had won a package and wanted to know if we wanted to pay to receive it.
Okay.
Where are you calling from? It turns out it's a scam, and Lang wants everyone to avoid it. She says if someone calls your phone with a similar story,
just don't believe them. Just be careful. Don't give out your personal information.
Now, I spoke with a representative from Bank of America who says they aren't offering any sweepstakes. I also spoke with the scammer again tonight. This time, he claimed to be from a lottery company. So here's what you need to know about scams. There are ways to avoid them. You can't win anything unless you've entered it. You must have a ticket to legitimately win a lottery, and you should never have to pay to receive your winnings. In this case, Lang filed a complaint with the Federal Do Not Call Registry, so you can find more information about that on our web channel. Also, if they're rude to you over the phone, that is a big indication. John?